Monday Ubani joins us this morning. He is Chairman NBA Spilo right here in our Lagos studio to discuss the issue on the ground. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Well, definitely it is as shocking as it comes, especially for the judiciary practitioners and all of that. With all that we know, what now would you say is the position of the NBA about this issue?
What happened was that I think it was on the 29th of October. Immediately we were running off our conference in Port Harcourt. We got to hear this news of invasion. The president of the bar, Mr. Olumide Akpata, immediately issued a statement expressing shock at that development and then outlined the process and procedure he wants to take as the president of the bar, one of which was to convey an emergency NEC meeting, which he did. It was held virtually, and several resolutions were actually reached, part of which is to ensure that this particular matter is not swept under the carpet, and then there shouldn't be a repetition. It has happened before, and everyone in the country, is really worried that a third arm of administration is being under threat and intimidation, which shouldn't be. The judiciary should be independent to carry out its function within any known polity. And you know the importance of that particular arm of government when they are under threat, when they cannot do anything according to what the law has actually given them the opportunity to do, then the country will be in problem. And it has happened before. And some people were not in any way punished. We felt that this time around, let's not allow this to repeat, and let those who are responsible at least be made to be held accountable. And that is actually what happened. So there is any intention by any person to pursue a personal agenda against any person whatsoever. In fact, everyone is interested in getting to the truth, including the Attorney General himself, including the IGP, and everyone. And I'm also sure that the president of the country will be interested in knowing who are those behind this invasion. So no personal agenda whatsoever.
Well, is there anything that could have given reason or given impetus for that suspicion in the first place of a personal agenda, or should I say attack on the person of the...
Maybe somebody feels that, for NBA, who is a stakeholder, a major stakeholder, coming out to say, look, enough of this. We need to put a stop to this. We should not allow repetition. And then those who are culpable should be punished. Somebody now feels maybe he is a target. I don't think that anyone is a target. What is the target now is who actually ordered this particular invasion.
One wonders in the first place why it's taking so long, first of all, to even get to the names of the individuals, because there has to be records at the High Court, at the court where the magistrate gave this so-called search warrant and all of that. So the paper trail shouldn't have taken more than maybe 2 days.
I agree with you.
Almost 2 weeks.
But there is a phase to all this. The police came up with a report that they have arrested 14. According to them, 7 still at large. Now, they gave names of those they have arrested, but we only had 2. Lawrence spoke, and then one other, I think a journalist also spoke. So there are faces now. There are names to these people who carried out this act. But the police report is that the policeman himself is fake. And then the journalist is not a fake person. There are 2 lawyers that are also involved.
My apologies, Dr.
Yes.
Bani, but all of that is in public domain, those ones. But I'm just wondering why it took so long in the first place. Yes. Do you think it is an attempt, as you said, to sweep it under the carpet? Because many wonder, look, the magistrate is known. There is a paper trail.
That's right.
So why did it take so long to even mention a single name or even get people out?
Maybe they wanted to be very sure. I'm playing the devil's advocate now on behalf of the Nigerian police. They were trying to be sure who were involved, and running up the gang, may not be too easy. That may have accounted for that short delay. But as I said earlier, the commendation is that at least we have faces now. We have names. What we need to do for us as an MBA, as a very powerful and professional pressure group, is also to present our own report, independent report of what actually transpired, which is what we have embarked upon. And MBA is clearly interested knowing those who actually perpetrated this kind of act itself. Now police is saying that those guys were a criminal gang. They had no authority whatsoever from the government. And then again, it's very scary. That it means that some group of people in this country who are criminals can gang up, go to the court, obtain search warrant, and then go and carry out such an illegal raid on any person's home. So it's scary. But it's an information that is vital that will really help us generally in administration of justice, especially in all these magistrates issuing all these ex parte orders. It's a whole lot of things that we need to do, a holistic thing. How come most times these security agents will go to magistrate and sometimes get them to sign blank papers that have no any specific address, have no specific name, and they can use it to do all manner of criminal activities. They can come to your home and then fill in your name and your address and then probably raid you. That is the thing. Is it right for magistrates to do all that? Can there be lawyers who actually will conduct proceedings and move an application so they can have them you can have that trail? You can really identify a lawyer who does that. Because from the look of things, this particular application was not done by a legal practitioner, based upon papers that are, in our possession. There is no formal application by a lawyer, just that a policeman went to the High Court, swore an affidavit, and then brought it to the magistrate. You sign, giving them the order to go and search a home. A home itself, even in the address, was not even being specific. And a lot of inconsistencies in the content of the affidavit, both of the whistleblower and that of the policeman himself. So these are issues. Is it right in this country for account of customers or citizens to be frozen based upon ex parte order? Most times, and how are these orders obtained? Is it right even when you are arrested and then the police or any of the agents will go to the court and have your detention extended, sometimes for 30 days, 15 days, without you being heard? I mean, he only on the purported, statement of the police that, oh, you're a criminal, you are this and that. Then the court now says, okay, you should be detained for 14 days, for 15 days, without hearing your own side of. And then you are not even served with that order. So these are things that we think that the National Assembly, policymakers, and those who are involved in administration of justice, we have to look into so that we can have a situation where these things will be normalized and the processes and procedures well spelled out so that magistrate cannot, begin to sign these things that are blank and then give it in the hands of security agents who will now use it for some other purposes that are not clearly in accordance with the law.
It sounds like, there's a lot of work for the judiciary in its own self-cleansing, because if the situation you describe here is the reality, then it will sound like nobody is safe, really. But then while speaking now, you talked about the whistleblower. There are those who argue that, look, why is it that this fellow is not one of the people that has been paraded? Why is his name not mentioned? There is also the consistency. Is it Imo Road or Imo Street?
That's right.
And then, in talking about the whistleblower, there are those who think, look, maybe it's only to protect the whistleblower in order to encourage other whistleblowers to come out. But this one would sound like it's a wrong whistleblowing or a whistleblowing gone wrong. In that regard, going by the provisions made for the whistleblower and this kind of case where someone says it's a fake whistleblowing and there are consequences, what's the position of the law and what should be done?
The issue of whistleblowing came in, during this administration because they felt, look, there are many information that may not be available to them, which citizens will be in a position to, and then there will be compensation for that. But also, I think there are safety guards, against somebody giving fake information that may lead to wrong arrest. And there are consequences. I think somebody was even charged in this country for giving wrong information. Now, this man activated the entire process. But there are a lot of things that are very, very wrong with his affidavit, the content of his affidavit. According to him, he observed criminal activities going around houses in Abuja. He was not specific as to any house. That should raise a red flag, signal to any person that, comes across such an affidavit, that you are aware of criminal activities going around houses in Abuja. So you were not specific.
So there was no name,
there was no name
of a street.
If you look at it, yeah, no name,
no name of a street, no name of a house.
He that activated that process. That was the content of his affidavit.
So where did the name,
beautiful.
the street
so now Lawrence
came
now came with his own affidavit, in which now he was specific as to an address. But that address, again, there are so many things wrong with that address. So the question you ask is, where is this whistleblower? So the whistleblower must also be unveiled. Who is him? How did he come across this information of those alleged criminal activities going around houses? Which of the houses were you referring to? So there are a lot of things that has gone wrong with this particular, and if not for the security details of my Lord, Mary Odili, that would have been an issue. Who knows what the intentions of these guys? And they were there for solid 2 hours. If there is no authority, if there was nobody behind these guys, the amount of boldness and some of the action they have taken, including legitimizing the act by going to court to get a court order. Everything about them, according to the police, was illegitimate, was wrong. But the fact that they went to court and obtained a search warrant with which they went to carry, giving some level of legality to the action. So it then means that any criminal can go to court, these are the issues, and get a court order to carry out some activities. If not that this was actually botched, if not that it didn't, sell through, who knows what were the intentions of these guys, And everyone should be worried. I think the president of the country should be worried. Every head of arm of government is giving protection in this country. You will see the security details of our president. We want to protect our president. The same thing with the vice. The same thing with the speaker. The same thing with the senate president. We also expect that this arm of government that has headship must also be protected. The CJN must be the second in command, and all the judges of the Supreme Court. This is the highest, the highest judges we have in this country, who in most of their pronouncement can set parameters for governance and economic development in the country. So they also require protection. So it is very scary for a justice of the Supreme Court to just wake up and see some group of men who were allegedly fake invading that home with a court order. It gives you also, let me just finish. It gives you a very, a good spin for that. You, Ayo, can be in your home and some men will knock and say they are from the government, and they have a court order to search your house. Now, how do you identify whether they are fake or whether they are genuine? I mean, where they have a genuine court order. So these are issues we really need to unravel.
Does that also raise the issues around all of the invasions, well, for want of a better word, of security agencies on some highbrow hotels and all of that, over the past few months that we have? Are you questioning those processes as well?
That is the point. In democracy, there are some procedures that should be embarked upon, that should, even the agents, the security agents, must really observe, even in effecting arrest. We are not in any way supporting crime and criminality. We must ensure that we reduce the level of criminality in the state. But in doing that, there are processes you must also comply with. And if you fail to do that, you will be accused of violating people's rights. You don't just bust into a hotel. Most times, these are innocent people with their husband and wife and children. You just bust in and, it's a mistaken identity. So what remedy for that individual? You have actually, invaded the privacy. And there is a constitutional provision that guarantees your privacy. We've been having that issue. And I have had some conversation with EFCC officials, and they also agree that they have to really, because there are those also who want to really show their working, who in extreme cases do certain things that violate people's rights. I said, look, there'll be proper training. In doing this, be sure of your information. You don't just bust into any hotel anywhere without adequate information. And that will really expose you. That also paints you in bad light. And also, by extension, the country. Because these things are, out there in the public space. And people in Nigeria, you cannot be in a hotel. Some people will just bust in and say they're looking for Yahoo boys. And meanwhile, you're not the one that they're looking for. So these are some of the things, some of the measures we are saying that we must begin to observe as a nation. Okay. We must begin to do the right things. Whether EFCC or whether any of police or DSS, let's respect people's right. You can effect arrest without doing it as if you are arresting a kidnapper.
Okay, it will sound to me, because going by the words of the NBA president, he used two exact words, said the NBA is thoroughly dissatisfied with the position of the police investigation so far carried out and the rebuttal from the office of the Attorney General of the Federation. So one then wonders, on what basis and what next?
No, what the NBA president is saying is that, look, it requires deeper, interrogation of what has been presented. He said The man said, I'm a consultant to the office of the AG, and the AG said, I've never met you. So it's the man's word against the AG. Are you following me? And he said, look, he has been given up to 29 jobs, recovery. And there is a recovery panel in the Ministry of Justice. He has been given 29 jobs, but this one that he went, that concerns me, Lord, that it wasn't the AG that sent him. That is own decision. But that 29 jobs recovery has been given to him, which he has done on behalf of the Ministry of Justice. So for somebody to give that information, and you look at his IDR card, who signed it, and all that, these are issues that requires further probing. So we are not disbelieving the AG. We're not saying that the AG is lying. We're also not saying that the man himself who said that is also lying. There are other deeper things you need to unearth in order to actually know who is a liar and who is telling the truth. So MBA is not saying that, oh, with whatever has happened so far, anyone is culpable or anyone is liable. No. But we need to interrogate further, the revelation so far, especially from the police angle. Oh, this man says, this is what you have done for me previously. You've given me this job. I carried that out for you successfully. I know you. But all over this one, you didn't instruct me. So, fine. So, which means he knows him. But the man said, I don't know you. I have never met you before. I never gave you any letter of appointment. So, where are you coming from? So, these issues require further interrogation. Don't you think so, Ayo?
Well, I'm the one that is asking the question. The only place you ask questions is in the court. But the issues that you have raised are most certainly, troubling. But does that mean then that the police has concluded its investigation and consequently the NBA is not satisfied and wants the police to do more?
What the NBA president, Mr. Olumide Akwata, said the day he held a press conference, I think it's 5th of November, was that the minimum that the NBA will really be happy about is the president setting up an independent panel of inquiry. That it is wrong for probably the AGF to investigate himself because of the fact that there has been this, he has been implicated, sort of. Not that he has been found liable, but somebody mentioned his name. Then the police, they are the one also that actually went there. Police involved, of course, here soldiers were also involved. So can police really investigate themselves and come out with a clean, state of story in the light of this revelation that they were involved? So the best thing that the NBA is saying, can the president, in the light of the fact that the second in command in the judiciary's home was actually invaded by men now that turn out to be fake, that he should set up a panel for us to know who actually instructed these fake policemen, fake security agents, who is behind them? Have they been doing this job before? And if they have been doing, on whose behalf? So these are issues that would have been unraveled by an independent panel. And I think that the president may have taken note of what the NBA president has actually demanded. Not that we are dissatisfied thoroughly with whatever. Police has put a face. And we commend the Nigerian police for living up, to expectation in bringing, at least making some arrests. So we commend them in that. But I think we should go further. One, there are two reasons why NBA is clearly worried about this. One, we don't want a repetition of this. Judiciary is a very important arm in administration, generally. We don't want a situation where judges will be doing their duty under threat, under fear. And they cannot give out their best, under such circumstances. So we want a situation where they are totally free in carrying out their responsibility as assigned to them by the Constitution. That is key. Then also make sure that we punish, people who are offenders.
Is that a way of tailing on what the NBA president said when he said the NBA is going to get to the root of this matter, no matter how highly placed the individuals are?
Yes. That really means that NBA will want the president, maybe part of my report would be that the president must do this. And I think that the president is listening because he said, look, president, you should be worried. It can be you tomorrow.
Okay. Now, there are those who have also alleged that this case is similar to what they call the honorary treatment. Is there any such, thinking in the
NBA? The AG was asked that question yesterday, and he said he has the right to remain silent on it. What happened in 2016, clearly, it's a memorable incident, where just some justices, including that of the Supreme Court. Remember Justice Sylvester Anguta, Justice Onyango Okoro, and then these people at the Federal High Court, one in Port Harcourt, one in Abuja, one in Kano. Their homes were invaded. And the report that came out that time was that it was a matter of mistaken identity. Remember They said that they were wrong, but nobody was punished, and we were worried. So the next thing was that Onogin was accused and of certain, wrong malfeasance. The process that led to his removal is something that is still worrying some of us. That is clearly a dangerous precedent. You can't remove a president of a country not in accordance with the constitution. So also with the CJN. But what happened at that time was that he was removed by an ex parte order. Who moved that ex parte order? Up to now, we have not gotten to the root of that matter. And I feel that we should even go beyond the Court of Appeal where that case stopped, up to Supreme Court. Should there be a pronouncement? Because we cannot allow dangerous precedent to be laid, for us as a nation. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. So I don't know whether people who are right, whether they're right in alluding to the similarity, whether there is any such intention. But if there is any such intention, by the fact that everyone is clearly, angry at what has happened, I think whatever their plans are, they should stop. It is not good for us as a nation because the world is a small village. And of course, analyses are coming from all over the world of what transpired, that justices in Supreme Court in Nigeria are not safe. Their homes can be invaded by fake policemen. It's not a good story for us as a nation. It is not. You must agree with me. This is clearly not something we should be proud of. And I think something should be done concerning it.
Well, the NBA has been making appeals to the president, to the office of the president. But, and we have also been listening to the National Assembly. The Speaker the House of Representatives has spoken. The Senate has also held a position on this issue. In fact, the Senate says that whatever report is going to be released by the police, it must be made public and all of that. And I think you have alluded to some of that.
That's right.
Is that in any way consoling? That's the number one, according to the order of precedence in the Constitution. It's the legislature, the executive, and then the judiciary. Is it a comfort that the number one arm of government in the country, which is the legislature, has spoken?
Yes, I am very happy that the legislative arm has taken a position. They can also be a victim. As I said earlier, any person can be a victim. And they have also made their position known that this incident should not be swept under the carpet and that police should go, the entire hog to thoroughly investigate and then make their findings public. I totally share that view with them. And MB will want to work with the National Assembly over this. It's going to be a holistic, reforms in terms of administration of justice. And as I said earlier, this is part of all that. Speedel held a webinar in which renowned lawyers and justices, spoke on this issue of ex parte order. We should be able to know how to apply it and at what point and what are the processes and procedure so that everyone knows it. It is wrong to begin to carry papers to magistrate or high courts, judges, for them to sign for you blank. And then somebody can use it for some other purposes that are clearly not legal. So we are saying, can we now work hand in hand as a country in order for us to now come out with other legislative framework that can actually determine how to use these ex parte orders? It will really enhance administration of justice and transparency in the entire process, and also give some people some level of comfort. I don't want to be a victim tomorrow. Somebody comes with an ex parte order, freezes my account, and then I can't have any remedy in law. Because where there is wrong, there is a remedy. UPG should be remedium. I don't have any right, because I have been wronged. So there must be a process. Even if you get that ex parte order because of some level of urgency, can I be served that order immediately so I can take some steps either to set it aside or contradict you, before the same court? So these are processes we are suggesting. It's not good to go to court and tell one-sided story. The court believes that one-sided story, and based upon that, you now take a decision against me
Is
in
it
my
the
absence.
courts believing that position,
Yes.
or that provision of the process,
Yes,
that allows ex parte order?
there are laws that allows it. Yeah. But we are saying
so
the law must be.
The court is not wrong.
No.
To give ex parte
what we're
order.
saying, you can give an ex parte order, especially on matters of urgency, when there is a sense of urgency, and when the rest will be destroyed if you now give time within which the other party can respond. The court can preserve the rest. I agree. Ex parte order is allowed. But you see, we are now abusing it. Especially, of course, what happened in political cases where you can use ex parte order now to sack a chairman of a political party and all that. We feel that, look, this is going to the extreme. Can we really know that the fundamental aspect of fair hearing is part of our jurisprudence in which the other party must always be heard.
Okay.
I'm saying in exercising the right of, granting ex parte orders, we must put in place some level of safety guards. One, if you get this order because of extreme urgency of the matter, can you serve that order immediately on that individual? Let the individual be aware. Because it has happened several times where your client is locked up in any of the custodies of the security agents, and then you start processing for the bail, only to be told, oh, we had an order to detain that individual for 14 days. Meanwhile, that order was not served on that individual. It's only because you are now insisting on certain things being done in getting your client out, you are being told that there was an order. So I think that there must be an inbuilt mechanism that will make it immediately that order is gotten, that person should be served that order. So he can take steps, either by way of setting it aside or bringing his own story that can contradict whatever you have told the judge that made the judge to give the order in the first place.
Just one last one before we let you go. What deterrence, in your own opinion, would be strong enough to forbid such a thing happening again as has happened with
crime persists or sin persists if offenders are not punished. It's only punishment. Punishment is the only deterrent factor. If somebody is punished for doing the wrong thing, it sends signal. It sends a message to those who are prospecting, they want to carry out such an act in the future. They say, no, somebody has been punished. Let me tell you this, sir.
Before you tell me that, I think it's interesting. We'll have a number of messages to take. We'll keep you for a little more. I will be back after now.
Thank you.
Dr. Monday Ubani, Chairman, NBA Spittle, is still with us this morning. Well, you wanted to, step up on a conversation the other time. But the question that I asked was, what would be a strong enough deterrence for attacks, let me use that word, attacks on heads of the judiciary, especially justices of the Supreme Court?
As I said earlier, it's just punishment. Let's begin to punish offenders.
What kind of punishment?
Oh, well, the law is specific as when you do certain things like that. You must have forged documents as alleged. There's forgery that is involved. There's somebody claiming to be a CSP while he's not. And then, some other people that were involved in the entire hawk. Some other, remember the young man who said they told him there was this issue of money. I said, why would Nigeria be borrowing money when there are so much dollars, stacked somewhere in a house in Abuja? So such people who do such things, if we punish them, somebody will become very careful, to carry out such acts with impunity, because they did this with impunity. They were there for 2 hours, I heard. Those guys were there for 2 solid hours. It took Wike and Co to rush to the house of Milord in order to what is going on. And if not also for the alertness of the security forces, or security agents that were, guiding Milord, that would have been a problem. We don't know what their intentions were, as we rightly pointed out. Were they there to harm the woman? Were they there to probably, do some other things that will incriminate the woman? So these are issues. So I think deterrence can only come through punishment. Let's begin to, say the right thing. When things like this happen, let every person be worried, and then certain action taken in order to correct them. That is how you correct, criminality and correct the society. But if there is no anger, if people feel, lackadaisical about it, then offense will continue. But I think that we must all get worried. And that is how nations actually thrive. And the civil society must be there. They must hold government accountable. The journalists must, put it on the front burner. That we cannot allow this. This is a very important arm of government. Why would you every time be invading their homes and then you don't find anything? Remember that those justices that were accused, none of them were convicted. And let me point out this. There are procedures to get a judge who has committed a crime to be indicted and punished. We have it. We have it in our laws. But do it in such a manner that shows that we are civilized. You don't go a home of a judge and begin to, in an odd hour, invade the homes and all that. You can invite the person. You must extend some level of courtesies, because they're not ordinary criminals. They're not criminals in the first place. For you to be a judge of the Supreme Court, you know the process and procedure you pass through, from the lowest court up to the highest court in the land.
There are those who are also wondering, Dr. Obani, that we haven't heard the NJC on this matter at all.
Oh, NJC has spoken. The Supreme Court, for the first time, sir, issued one of the most urgent
Well, we heard that we saw
yes.
the statement from the Supreme Court,
Yes,
but there are those who are wondering the National Judicial Commission,
yes.
you know,
Council.
yeah.
Yes. They you know, they meet once in a quarter. Of course, they may issue their own statement later about it. But the head of that particular agency, which is the Chief Justice of
Yes,
the,
but
yes, has issued a statement.
okay.
To me, hearing from the CJN and hearing from the Supreme Court, I am very happy. I read that.
The
Yes.
Supreme Court is an institution, and
Yes.
you will speak to that.
Yes, yes.
But there are certain responsibilities that the Judicial Commission has, the Judicial Council, you say, that the Judicial Council has.
NJC, yes.
You know, there are certain responsibilities, and one would have thought, look, for such a thing to have happened to such a highly placed judge,
right.
you said she's second in command to the CJN. Now, that should, even if it's an emergency statement or meeting or something, some are wondering, how come we haven't heard from the
agency? I have
this
belief that they will. They meet quarterly, as I said earlier, and there is no way they can allow such a matter that affects them to be silent about it. I'm sure they're going to make a statement concerning that. But because they meet quarterly, and they need to take a comprehensive view of their membership before they can issue a statement. But as I said earlier, the CJN, the Supreme Court, issued a statement. Said, look, we can bite. We can also bite. We can back, and also we can also bite.
How can the Supreme Court bite?
Oh my. They are the one, you know, if there is any arm of government we should be afraid of, is judiciary. This is the only arm that can tell you now, Ayo, that you should go to jail. And you spend the rest of your life in jail.
Won't I depend on the executive for that order to be executed?
Well, the point is that they have the power to make that pronouncement. The executive does not have the right to make it.
But it's a pronouncement.
It's a pronouncement which most times have been obeyed.
Most times, you said,
yes,
Dr. Obani.
Yes.
Most times,
yes.
Not all the time.
Not all the times.
Okay, so
and
how
that's why
then can they, if without, in other words, you're saying that without the cooperation or partnership of the executive, the judiciary can hardly bite.
It's an ongoing conversation. It's a part of the deficiency in our system. People are saying maybe we should also have a security outfit of the judiciary that can enforce their order. It's an ongoing conversation, you know. Should we depend? Because some of us, we obtain judgment against government agencies. You cannot execute it. You have to write to the AG, who now may not even respond to you later. And God knows how many years it will take you to actually get judgment executed. So there are issues, but people are debating it. It's a holistic, look at administration of justice generally. Do we allow ourselves to depend on the executive? And what if that order is against the executive? Can it be enforced? So it's an ongoing conversation. But I tell you this, if there is an arm of government you should fear, it's the judiciary, because they possess a power of life and death. They can pronounce you alive. They can also pronounce you a dead person, and that will be it. So we should respect them. We should fear them. We should give them an atmosphere within which to operate. Atmosphere of freedom. Atmosphere of independence. But
yes. It would seem then that the power to do things with the judiciary is, just as you said, a pronouncement.
Yes.
So how, beyond the laws, how else do you suggest that the justices of the Supreme Court in particular be protected from such a thing as this?
Well, I am very happy that the day they went to Mrs. Honorable Justice Odili's house, there was security. There were security agents there. They should be protected with security details, just like all other arms of government are protected. They must have that. If not, they could have taken her, as a grasshopper, but she had that protection. So we must protect them. We must ensure their safety. Both administratively also, we must ensure their independence. Remember that there was 3 or 4 months strike, recently, where the courts were shut because of issue of financial autonomy. Some governors have complied. Some are still hell-bent in not complying with the provisions of the Constitution. We must, raise the issue and let it remain on front burner that we must allow them to be independent, autonomous, financial, administrative, structurally, and provide them with all the basic infrastructures. Their welfare should be uppermost in our mind. When a judge is taken care of, he will not be interested in taking bribe. Are you following me? So we must look at it holistically. The recruitment process we have also talked about, we must be sure who we're employing to be a judge, because it is an onerous responsibility.
So how long is this special investigation of the NBA going to take?
Within 3, 4, weeks, we should be able to get, some level of stride would have been made in terms of getting information. Are you following me? And we, with the NBA, has appointed me and given me the opportunity to co-opt some of these big lawyers in the country to work with in order to unearth actually what transpired and then report back to the constituency, and then they will now use that information to do whatever they want to do. But it's something that is ongoing, and we're at it. We have gotten some basic information that will actually aid us in this responsibility.
So in 3-4 weeks, we're going to get some.
Yes, yeah, we'll be able to have a report, not to you now, but to the constituency. to
At least, just as you said, everyone is interested in how this will turn out.
That's correct.
For now, we have to thank you very much for being a part of our program
Thank
this
you,
morning.
Ayo.
Dr. Monday Ubani is Chairman, NBA SPEDO. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, Ayo, for having me. Good morning.
We already did see the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, conduct its own national convention here in Abuja, and they now have a new leadership at the helm of the party's affairs. And now it would seem that it's the turn of the ruling party, the ruling All Progressives Congress. Will they be able to conduct a successful primary looking at all that is currently happening within the party? It looks like there are already people who are aggrieved ahead of a national convention. How will things work out? What mode will they use? Will the Electoral Act, as currently being passed or has been passed by the National Assembly, where direct primaries is what is now being prescribed by this new Electoral Act, waiting assent, that's waiting assent from the President. If it sails through, is that what the APC will adopt? These are all the questions we're going to be asking this morning. We have with us Mr. Ibrahim Modibo, who is a former member of the APC Presidential Campaign Council and also a board member of the Abuja Broadcasting Corporation. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning, sir.
Thank you, Margaret. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning. And we also have Aliyu Audu, who is a young stakeholder in the APC.
Stakeholder.
Beg your pardon?
Not young, stakeholder.
A stakeholder. Okay, so we've removed that now. We've removed young. Okay, well, you're welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
I don't know. The issues that are burning are important for your party members, and it would seem that some of the rankles are already being reported again in the papers. I do not know if you're worried or you're anxious about, how the primaries or the convention is going to be conducted, because you understand in some places some primaries are already being conducted and people are unhappy and are threatening to take the party to court. Well, since the fallout of the ruling on Ondo, there has been some, fears within the party as to whether or not the Buni-led caretaker committee could proceed to conduct a convention. What are your thoughts on that as your party approaches the date of the month where it is set for a convention, December?
All right. Thank you very much, Maupe. Good morning, Nigerians. Yeah, rightly so, there are people who are aggrieved within the party. But for myself and my group, the concerned stakeholders, we're not aggrieved, as the name says. We're just concerned, very worried, And you mentioned Ondo State. I mean, you've just said something about convention in December. I'm wondering where you heard that from, because there's not been any formal communication from the caretaker committee as to when convention is going to happen. It's been 1 year plus. There's been an extension after an extension. You're waiting for an extension. As a matter of fact, we have it known that they do not want to conduct convention. They want to go on with this till we get to a point where they sell to the people again that it's too late to conduct convention. Something they failed to do when it was early enough. They had 6-month mandates. 6 months. And like their committee name rightly says, what they were supposed to do was set up for convention for the leadership of the party and hand over. My Malabuni cannot be part-time governor elected and be appointed chairman of the APC. No. The constitution does not support that. Our party constitution does not. Electoral law does not support that. There are a lot of litigations waiting in the, when, like you rightly said, coming from Mondo. We do not know what the exact position of the law says on that. But if you look at the constitution clearly and look at the party constitution and the electoral law, you know that, people who are concerned have reasons to be concerned. Because it clearly states that you cannot be the governor and be a CEO or, take up another kind of job of such. And they've come up with the excuse about Governors Forum. Governors Forum has a DG. That's the CEO of Governors Forum. He's in charge of the day-to-day running of Governors Forum, not the chairman who is a governor. That's more or less an appointment, like a board member, board chairman or thereabout. But for chairman, party chairman, you are the CEO, you are responsible as the head of the NWC, you are responsible for the day-to-day running of the party. You can't be responsible for the day-to-day running of the All Progressives Party and be responsible for the day-to-day running of Yobe State. We did not promise Yobe State part-time governor. We owe it to Yobe State to give it. I mean, it's one of the 3 states dealing with, insecurity. The last report from, I saw a report from Satisens that says where the IGR of every state is ranked. Yobe is like a disappointing, it's the lowest in the rank. So Yobe State as a state needs Mai Malabuni to sit in Yobe and govern so he can deliver to people of Yobe what we, through President Muhammad Buhari, promised the people of Yobe. That's what we are saying.
That's the point from which you are approaching this. The fact that he's been there for longer than the 6 months which was promised now, and it would seem that he is now part-time governor of Yobe State and facing more the issues of your party. Would you say that it's because the issues of the party are intractable? That's why it's been difficult for him to go to Yobe? Now
the problem is the assignment was clear. We had issues in some, from the last election, we had issues from states. You know how we lost Zamfara. You know what our problem in Rivers State. And these were the issues that led to the dissolution of the last NWC. Impunity, bad management, lack of transparency, lack of justice in the party that led to all of that. And the assignment was to fix those problems as a caretaker committee and hand over and set up convention and hand over. Right now, we have more problems, way more problems in the party than we had when he came on board. We didn't have problem in Delta State, but we now do because during the party membership registration that was, in my own way, was needless. How many years ago did we do our registration? 2014. And we have, nothing stops us from updating our register, adding new members. But running an entirely new registration was unnecessary. And even more unnecessary that there was no value added to that registration process than it happened 7 years ago. The world is moving. We have teeming, population of restless, active, agile young Nigerians. They need people who know what they are doing, who know what the time is to lead them. And these guys can't. We have the party registration. We could not automate any single part of it. We didn't do it in 2014. That's fine. But we decided to do it now. There was no automation of any kind of any part. It's the same thing as we had. There was no value added. So what is in it? As we speak, we still don't have a harmonized membership registration. So what is the essence of the registration? And right now, you have people who went for party registration. You go to Delta, then, you have people who have their own materials for registration, just like the Congress.
I take it that you're from Delta State then?
No.
Where are you from?
I'm Nigerian.
What you mean? What I mean is, where did you have to do your registration?
Abuja here, FCT.
Abuja, okay,
Yeah.
just confirming that. But let me come to you now, Mr. Modibo. The issues look simple as they look complex. The terms of reference given to the APC caretaker committee, the party caretaker committee, it will seem that they have exceeded the time given to them to carry out those terms of reference. And from what he says now, it will seem that, a convention was to be part of it where they would, hand over to a capable leadership to lead your party, especially as it moves into the general elections in 2023 and beyond. But so far, so good. It looks like there's plenty of disquiet. What do you make of the anxiety which is greeting whether or not there will be new leadership as your party goes into the general elections?
Thank you very much, Markwe. It is assumed, though rightly, that in any political setup, especially in a viable and vibrant democracy such as ours in a multicultural society, under globalization. The issue that attracts the central burner is that of politicking. And this opposition, especially coming from my brother Audu and his group, it's a normal democratic culture. To us, that is the beauty of democracy. It shows that this party is vibrant, this party is mobile, and this party is attracting, you know, this vibrant feeling from the young people that are in a hurry, so to say, to come and capture power or to collect power from whatever the source is. You see, nobody is saying that Mai Mala Buni will be leading this party, will be ruling this party as a governor till eternity. No. Mai Mala Buni, in his patriotic and nationalistic intervention in the process of good governance of this party, he has decided to combine two heavy issues at stake. Governance of a state, such as Yobe under a security threat.
He has decided.
Well, of course.
Is that not in contravention of the Constitution and also of your own party constitution?
No. You see, it's a caretaker. He's not saying as if he is there permanently. No, it's just a caretaker. It has been a normal thing. All through democracy since we started in 1999, Mark, I've been a team player. I've been there as National Director of Publicity 2001 up to 2010. And we've seen Ali Sharif there, we've seen Bafarawa. All these people were caretaker committee chairmen. And they were also governors. So therefore, it is not new. There's nothing novel. I strongly believe that Mai Mala Buni has steered the leadership of this party with philosophical calmness. And I believe that he has been able to contribute so much by bringing a lot of people. Governors have come in, senators have come in droves. We've seen also members of House of Representatives, local government chairmen. In fact, we're about to capture the whole country in terms of politicking. And in terms of aggregating our opinion, bringing forth the beauty and artistry of this party.
The question is, what sort of house are you bringing them to?
Well,
because some people say that the APC house itself needs some mending. So if you don't mend it and you're bringing everybody in, it's in no time, if you don't mend the house, it surely will collapse.
Mark, nobody is pretending that APC is a mosque or a church, where there's only one person at the pulpit preaching without people responding. It is a normal democratic culture. Wherever democracy prevails, there must be internal opposition, or there must be opposition. And therefore, the more the merrier, the beauty. We believe that, look, it's an internal issue, and we have internal mechanisms of conflict resolution. All these problems, within a very short time, it will be solved. Because I am sure by now, Mai Mala Buni administration, leading this party to victory in 2023, by the grace of God, I believe that they are now setting standards.
Did you listen to the complaint of Senator Marafa in recent times about what happened, transpired in Zamfara State?
Yes, Markwe. You see, there's this saying, those who live in glass houses do not throw stones anywhere. But for anyone that lives in a glass house and decides to be so reckless, to throw stones anywhere, not minding where it lands, it shows, you know, that this emotional burden, this hysteria. And I strongly believe there's also that feeling of collapsing the house in which he's also inside. And I strongly believe that with what Senator Marafa was saying yesterday when I saw him on the television, my heart bled. Because I strongly believe that a democratic setup such as ours, there will be conflict of ideas, not conflict of personalities. There will be contest of ideas, not conflict of personalities. And I believe for him to bring our dirty linens to the public, to start going into personal issues, instead of attacking the substance of the party, my heart bleeds. And I believe it is a greatest disappointment to the position he held as a senator. Everybody knows who Senator Marafa is. He is there just like a bull in a china shop. He's there, he's ready to bring the whole roof, in as much as his interest is not protected. And I think that is not the philosophy of a democracy. He has the option to opt out. If you don't want this party, go to about 20 or so parties that are in Nigeria. Go to PDP.
The question is, you know, for a number of people, they're wondering why the APC simply wouldn't do the right thing.
No. There is no party that's not doing the right thing. Mai Mala Buni is setting standards. He's trying to make sure that we have a very formidable government based on the popularity of the people, government elected by our parties. And as my brother was saying, we have a register. This is the first party that's even set standard of registering all our members nationwide. We've done it successfully, and I can tell you, for now, there are technical people that are working on collation, compilation, and also tabulating all the membership that we have for proper accountability. And therefore, in the interest of Nigeria, if we are going for these direct primaries, we are set. And my Malabuni administration is giving us the focus, the foresight, and also the latitude within which Mwakwe to
Mr.
address
Modibo,
issues as they come.
I'm going to ask you to please hold your thoughts. We need to take this break, and we'll be back shortly. Please stay with us. Well, we're still talking about the APC, especially as it approaches a convention, which is, well, I was just asked now where I got confirmation I was going to hold in December. But generally, the thought is that the APC convention is going to hold in December. I'm going to confirm from my guest here. Mr. Ibrahim Modibo, you were speaking just before we went on break. I'd like to confirm, is it certain that the APC convention is going to hold in December?
Of course, why not? It's very, we are putting everything on
but
ground.
But your fellow party member here doesn't have that information.
You see, my problem is, you see, if somebody is in the opposition, he doesn't want to come close to the
opposition,
party.
He's not in the
No, there is internal opposition and there is external opposition, Mark. So if one feels, look, you see, as I've told you, I'm also interested in contesting for an office, and therefore have interest in this journey. I want to also see the possibility of us going to the Congress. But we have to set things right. As it is today, we are having a lot of problems here and there because of the congresses, local government, state, and world congresses. And we've set up a mechanism where we find our elders, elder statesmen, and also people that matter, stakeholders, going to almost all the states to see how they'll be able to manage the crisis and then bring everything on board to stability. That is the process as it is today. We have set standard, God willing, because we are all human beings. We cannot be predicted, but God willing, the standard has been set for December. We'll do this convention. And therefore,
is there a formal announcement to that effect?
There will be, as soon as possible, there will be.
This is November already.
Yes,
November the 15th, as
good.
a matter of fact.
As it is, Markwe, I want you to believe this party. I want you to believe...
It's not for me to believe it. I'm not going to attend your convention.
No, maybe you come and cover.
It is for your party members, for them to know...
Maybe you come and cover.
You know, when your convention is going to take place. If a month to, less than 2 weeks to December, you haven't made an announcement, the question will be, how do you want... Unless you're planning to shut people out.
No.
And you don't want them to attend.
You see, Markwe, before you plan for a convention, you must be able to allocate, you know, the positions of authority under the party. You have to allocate where the chairmanship comes from, where the presidential candidate comes from, where the public secretary, the deputy national chairman, all that. You have to allocate to various zones and states. And this is what is in progress now. Work is in progress, seriously. And I can attest to the fact that the Mala Buni administration is not in any way in distraction of trying to place a formidable political platform that will be able to conduct these primaries very well or conduct this convention very well without rancor. And that is what we are trying to do. Agreed. There are problems here and there. And these problems here and there, they are not as if they are insurmountable. We have to sit down, aggregate things, work out modalities. You see, when you look at young and vibrant people like my brother Audu, my younger one here, we need them because they are the engine drives of the party. They are the people that articulate, they are the people that vote, they are the people that even canvass for votes in 2023. And therefore, we are not in any way enemies. We are not political enemies. It's only that we have opposition. And opposition is a normal thing in a democratic setup. And I commend them for putting up this opposition, for bringing in, you know, their own feelings, instead of hiding or being cocooned into an area, trying to commit sabotage to the party. But by their coming out, to show that, look, they want this in a hurry. It clearly defines their own principles, their own policies as people that are...
You know, he said something. He said,
Yes.
he said something about people who know what time of day is. And when he talked about young people, I do not know if he was referring to young people within or outside the party. What I got from that is the fact that, you know, Nigeria has a huge population of young people who are waiting for leadership. And he's wondering whether, you know, his party knows what time of day it is. And in terms of, with regards to that, in terms of the processes, the internal processes that they have in-house, are you know, if if, you know, the protest which you're seeing in-house is from a demographic which you consider young, are you taking that to be a reflection of how you might be perceived by a larger demography which is outside of your political party?
Assuming without necessarily conceding to the argument of my brother Audu about the vibrancy of the young people, you know, under their group. My Malabuni is also a young man. He's also a young man. He's not an old person. And therefore, I strongly believe that they're trying to chase away one of their own. But to me, I believe that my Malabuni, as truthful as he is, I am sure that this committee is going to set standards because I'm also an interested party. So I would like this convention to hold. But I don't want us to stampede.
Well, you do not have confirmation that's going to happen in December.
It will. I don't want to stampede anybody, but I want the whole political system to take its natural process. Internal opposition, it's okay. It is one thing that beautifies democracy. And I thank them for doing a good job.
Let me come back to you, Mr. Audu. I'm sure that you also followed very closely the issue of the Electoral Act amendment, which is, you know, which is supposed to be transmitted to the president now. We do not know at what stage that's going to be in, but we do know that the National Assembly has passed that particular amendment bill. The question is, how certain are you? I do not know if you, I mean, how interested are you first in the passage of that bill as is, especially with regards to direct primaries, and what implication it will have for your party? And do you think it's something that the president will assent to?
All right. Before I go into that, let me address a few things you mentioned, referring to us as opposition within the party, and the way and manner he talked about how Senator Marafa can leave the party. You see, that's a problem in itself. We can't continue to do things the same way and expect different results. The APC is a party of hope for Nigeria. If you understand clearly, we have the kind of quality of members that has never been seen, not in numbers, not just numbers, I'm talking about quality. From 2013, as a matter of fact, from before its formation, many of us, you know, young, vibrant people who were professionals in their field, who realized that it is very important to get involved in how the country is governed, saw that hope in two leaders. One, a Democrat who stood his ground against all odds. He could have moved from opposition to join the leading party, then he didn't. Then another man who has kept clean record in all of his position in public service because he believes in, you know, public funds should be used for public functions. These two, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu and President Muhammadu Buhari, inspired us to pay attention and we gave everything. We've given everything. As a matter of fact, the team of young, vibrant Nigerians who are in APC, who campaigned for this party for 2 elections, worked day and night, defend this government and defend this party day and night. Guess what? They don't get paid for it. I mean, you hear all sort of BNMC money. That's not. We know how young people who were in the previous party in government used to live. We know what they were about. But we don't care because our goal is taking the country where it needs to be. And we have a leader in President Muhammadu Buhari who will do that. And it's on that same belief that I know that President Muhammadu Buhari will assent to the bill, because he has always been about, I mean, if you know, even before the National Assembly passed this bill, a few weeks ago, he said it in a meeting, that what he truly wants to do is for us to take power back to the people. We have seen election done under his campaign. He has never at any time tried to influence the outcome of any election. We've lost Anambra State as a sitting government to opposition twice. And you realize the previous election that was won by Governor Obiano, I mean, he came to pay an appreciation to Mr. President, referring to him as the father of all. That's who he is. He truly wants the people of Nigeria, not just the APC now. He truly wants people of Nigeria to be in charge of determining who governs them. So I am confident that he will assent to the bill. I mean, whoever is afraid of direct primary, I have been a part of the primary committee for direct and indirect. I understand why they are. Only bad management, poor organization skills will make you, will scare you from direct primary. It is simple. You are either a member or you're not. You have your card. So we are saying, if you are in this constituency, we want to decide who will represent you at the National Assembly or at the House of Assembly or at the Senate or as a governor. So you in this constituency, as a party member, come out and pick who you want. We want the decision-making to be, as widespread as possible. That's inclusion.
Oh, you prefer direct primaries?
That's the way to go. We need more people. People, you can't be worried about the people you govern. You can't be worried about them deciding how you govern them. If you are worried, then you're not fit to be there in the first place.
So some people say it will put a strain on the party. They believe it's going to be very cumbersome.
What doesn't?
Direct primaries is going to be very cumbersome.
What doesn't put a strain on the party? We are not doing direct primary. Are we not in trouble? It's our candidate in Anambra State just concluded election. Was it direct primary that was done? Yes. But was it actually a primary? According to them. How could we have scored 243,000 in primary but can't score 50,000 in general election? Where are the other members who voted for him? The only thing they are afraid of is because they don't know how to do things rightly. They don't want to do the right thing.
So do you think the problem is direct or indirect primaries, or do you think that the problem is a general lack of sincerity and honesty?
And lack of competence, capacity, lack of sincerity, you're right, that's it. They don't want to do the right thing, and they don't know how to, and they are not ready to look at and bring in people who can. We have way too many. Look at our cabinet, look at our quality men in our party. We should be able to pick leaders that will inspire the generation. You said something, I'm not talking about just the young people in the party. No, by extension in the country. That is the promise. That is the list. All of them who have benefited from the personality, the lifestyle of President Muhammad Buhari. That's the least they can do for him and his legacy, to preserve it. Make sure the right thing is done, so that generations to come will understand that we made a U-turn when we decided President Muhammad Buhari's victory wasn't the governors. So when they celebrate getting governors into the party, senators, that's not it. You have governors in your party, and who loses his state? You have a deputy governor who crosses over but loses his polling unit. Is that one a leader?
Let me come back to you, sir, Alhaji Modibo. Let me ask you what your take is on this Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Is your preference to direct primaries?
Fantastic. Let me align myself with my brother, Aliyu, to canvass for direct primaries, because direct primary presupposes that the party is taken to the people. It goes back to the people. There's a need for vibrant and holistic participation of the people at the grassroots, so that no any Sherlock, no any Godfather hijacks the party. For now, there are processes within all parties in the country where some Godfathers with Ghana must goes hijack the process of the party. Like he stated, look at the issue of Anambra. If we could get about 250,000 votes for our candidate to emerge, why is that the same number not repeating itself? We would have won this election. But I could see an excuse of maybe because of the security problems. And that security problem presupposes that some people were afraid of their lives coming out to vote. So that might be an excuse. But however...
So what did you make of the meeting, the tripartite committee meeting, which tried to hold, but they said there was a fait accompli with the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill before that meeting eventually held? You recall that there was a meeting that held in the villa shortly after the Electoral Act Amendment Bill was passed. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So what did you make of that? Because if those who felt that that was supposed to resolve that particular part of the Electoral Act Amendment, which they felt was not going to go down well for the party.
You see, in the days gone by, especially in the National Assembly, we had an assembly that was virtually in opposition, where things were moving from the sublime to the ridiculous, where mediocrity and also iniquity ruled. But this is a new set of National Assembly members that are very patriotic, very nationalistic, and they want to see to, you know, the sustainability of democracy. And therefore, they stood their grounds. In spite of the tripartite meeting, they stood their grounds. They said, look, we are ready to give Nigeria or democracy in Nigeria back to the people. And therefore, they are calling on Mr. President to accede to the bill. But if he doesn't, they have the right to veto. That is the beauty of the National Assembly. And if they veto, it becomes law. So these problems, to me, it is just some few people, especially the governors, who are not interested. The governors across party lines, all of them, because they want a situation where they can just sit and nominate people, those that they want, especially now in the National Assembly. If you look at National Assembly has become maybe the burial grounds of governors, because once they leave government at their state, they come to National Assembly and perpetuate themselves, sit tight. They don't allow anybody to contest any position again, and that is not the spirit of democracy. People like Ali should come into the Senate. They should come and become governors. They should have the ambition of become presidents. Therefore, this is going to change the narrative. I can tell you, if you are not performing, you have the capacity to lose your seat as a senator. You have the capacity to lose, you know, any position you occupy if you are not doing good to your people. Therefore, you must be a performer. You must have danced to the rhythm, rhymes, and rhythm of the demands and dynamics of the people, what they want, before they elect you. So this party now goes back to the people. And let me tell you, Markwe, what President Muhammadu Buhari has been able to set this standard, especially in Anambra, it goes along to give us a warning signal that if you're a governor or if you're a senator, if you do not perform, you have the capacity to lose, irrespective of party. As he stated when he came in, he had wanted to fix the,
Was that so much about the stand of the president or the fact that your party was not together in Anambra? Well, I understand that, you know, my colleague in Lagos has questions for you. Ayo.
Fine. Well, thank you, Mokwe. I just wanted to ask Mr. Modibo, one of the things that has concerned me as an individual in this issue is that, you know, for a very long time, when we hear political parties having internal issues, I'm wondering, why should the people who employ politicians into public office engage or employ members of your party when the party itself is finding it difficult to govern itself within? There are so many, you know, states in the country today where the APC has two factions, different factions and all of that. And the most I hear when we engage people is there are always interests at play in a political party. Isn't that the same for every sphere of life? One would have expected that such things would be so much reduced now, especially with the APC at the center.
You see, I've always stated, or I've always have this commitment or feeling that a political party such as the APC in government of the country are likely to win election in the next 10, 20 years. I can assure you that it is just like a market square. People will be coming in droves because they know the value of being in that political party. This is a party that gives democracy. Unlike some of our political parties, especially the PDP, where one man, one governor has been able to hijack all the process. He nominates the chairman, he does everything. And in this party, no any dominant governor hijacks the process. We have people like Audu that are here to challenge anybody that wants to hijack the process. But in PDP, there's nothing. It's so dormant. And almost all of these political parties, they are dormant. And therefore, these people, they feel that APC is a party to be. APC is a party that will give them democracy. APC is a party that will give them level playing ground for them to aspire to be members of the
I would like you
committee,
to, if you don't mind,
to be
just a
members
second.
of the state,
Just a second.
To be governors.
Let's speak to this specific issue. The APC is having internal crisis. It shouldn't be. Most of the people within the party, they are mature, they're old enough to take care of themselves. Many have families. Consequently, there's a lot of stability in different areas of the personal lives of these people. So why don't we have the same level of stability in the political party, given its prominence in the nation today.
Ayo, I'm so happy that you've raised sociology or psychology and also a student of nature. There is nowhere in nature that you find a perfect human being or where you find 2, 3, 4 people who meet without challenges or without an opposition. You know it. Do you think that APC is a church or a mosque where we only have an imam or a pastor that people will just sit down without any rancor, without any problem? We value people's opposition, internal opposition, because it makes the party the more the merrier.
Okay, so let Mr. Alba intervene on the question as well.
All right. Okay. So this is how I want to respond to this that you've just said. I will agree with my elder brother here on the need for, I mean, every association will always have internal crisis, be it family, business, whatever it is. I mean, but the essence is to, to improve, on however it's doing, whatever it's doing. But I'll answer your question as to how APC intends to win, why Nigerians who elected us should elect us back. You'll understand that the last 6 years have been different. It's been the best 6 years of our democratic life as a country. Forget the fact that we have internal issues. The fact that we have that is the very reason why APC is the party. Because within how many years, we realized that at the time we came together, it was an amalgamation of different interests. We had a goal to pause the destruction being, melted out to the country and make a U-turn. Now we've made that U-turn. We are redefining ourselves. We are building ideology upon which generations will come to love the APC for. We want to build a political institution.
Just 1 second. On the same issue, my sincere apologies. On the same issue that you have raised.
In order to do that, we need to get our acts right, which is what we are doing.
Mr. Audu, just 1 second. The issue that you have raised, and you have, actually expressed your displeasure with some things that have been happening in the party, and that's a given. But you see, the crisis that you're talking about cost the APC some states already. And it's in the same vein that I have heard you speak all the while, that there are some things that shouldn't be, that should be no-brainers. Some things shouldn't really be difficult to conjecture. So how come we have parallel, chairmen in some states and all of that? If there is no unity, there will definitely be an issue. Yes, every human community will have crisis one way or another. But shouldn't there be mechanisms that will protect the party and retain its strength? There are those who are calling for the resignation of the Buni-led government, such as some of the things that you have also said. And so one wonders, is there a challenge with cohesion within the party that is making it difficult for all to be on one page for so long?
All right. You see, it's not been so long, in all honesty. And unlike he said, we are not in a hurry. We are not in a hurry to take over power. I mean, as a matter of fact, we want to be very actively involved because we think we have values to add. We have, we have our name. It matters to us. The old guard probably doesn't. We came out, out of our comfort zone from 2013 to campaign around the length and breadth of this country for us to win the election. Now, the Democrats and the Republicans, I mean, United States of America has democracy that has been over 2 centuries. But in the build-up to the election that was won by former President Trump, there were problems within the Republican Party. There will always be problems within parties. But the concern that we have right now is we want every challenge that we come across, we want to fix them in such a way that makes us better than we were before it. And we are not seeing that.
Let's start with the challenge of 20 million or 40 million registered members of your party, which have been manually recorded. Do you think, because you have already raised that as an issue, you said that there was no value added. Are you optimistic that as you approach the 2023 general elections, they will be able to add some value, your party will be able to add some value to those names by streamlining and coming up with a register?
Yes, we will. That's what we're doing. That's why we want the convention to hold quickly. We want to be able, some of these things, if you have, there's technologies everywhere. You know, there's no need saying we're not going to plant a tree and water it for 3 years just to put records together. No. We can do all of this in a matter of weeks if you have the right people with the right mandate who know what they want to do.
By the right people, you mean a new
set of leaders
in the party?
Yes, we want every position of the NWC to be vied for by people who are sure of what they want. We don't want anyone who wants to be governor yesterday and wants to be senator today and wants to be party leader tomorrow. Be very sure of what your aspirations are. Be very sure of what you want. So we want every position. That's why we want them to come up with a timetable, a timeline, the zoning formula, so that people can truly begin to aspire. They can start working towards achieving that, so that they can put up their plans. Because we are going to ask every single person going for the NWC to let us know why we should make them those positions. But we won't have the time. If you wake up one day, I'll tell you something. The state congress election that was postponed by 2 weeks, I think it was only my Malabuni and the secretary that knew about it.
Do you suspect that that could happen for the convention?
I am saying, that's why when you said you are sure you heard of December, I'm wondering, because there's not been any communication. If we're going to have the convention, the end of December is about 6 weeks away from now. That's end of December. So, information is not out, planning is not done. How are we, I mean, then we wake up one night and we rush this usual 11th hour approach, and we are wondering why there will be crisis. Because those are the things we want to be stopped. Those are the things we are asking for to be done. That's why we asked them, we are asking them now to set up convention committee and exit, so that
they shouldn't head the convention committee by themselves.
They can't head it. They can't head. Normally they will set up a convention committee. You know, it's not them to head it naturally. You know, if any of them, I'm not against Maimala running for national chairman. He can resign as governor. He has a very, competent deputy that will take over. Then come and contest for national chairman. But in any case, he has to resign first as caretaker, because he can't be acting and be vying for the same position. Let them, set up a committee, a convention committee. Let's have the date, let's have the zoning formula, let's have the plan, so that we can start going around. We joined party because we want to make a party, APC, the truly progressive party that it's supposed to be. So we can go around and ask people who are running for position, they must give us a plan. This isn't 2014, this isn't 2017, this is 2021.
Alhaji Modibo, do you have anything to say contrary to what he has said?
Well, I'm not sure that my brother has enough statistics and information on the happenings in the party for him to say that, to give this blanket statement that there's nothing that has been achieved. I think it's not been fair.
I haven't said that.
No, that was what...
no, I haven't said there's nothing that has been achieved. I haven't said that.
Was that not what
I didn't hear that, but...
I haven't said that.
But what was your question?
But if you are counting defection as achievement, I will disagree with you.
Of course. Is it not achievement?
No, it's not.
If somebody defects from his house and comes to your house, is it not achievement? Is adding value to your house?
The goal of
let me just ask.
The goal of the APC is not to have a one-party state. We don't want to have a one-party state. We want to be so good that we inspire the other parties to be better.
This question went to me.
That's what we want. We don't want people living...
Just quickly respond.
Let me respond
to it now.
You see, he's not being fair to the Maimala administration.
So just a moment.
No,
is it being fair when he asks for a convention committee to be set up?
We're not talking about convention committee. We're talking about achievements.
That's the question I'm posing. I did not ask him anything about achievements. I'm asking, whether he was optimistic about, a convention, happening, especially as December approaches. He is not very optimistic about that, because so far so good says there's been no official announcement by your party as to when a convention will take place.
Well, I was only reacting to the introductory notes when he started. He said there was no achievement by this Maimala administration,
I never said that.
It's okay. Since you are withdrawing, I'm
happy. Are you optimistic? I'm
happy you are withdrawing.
Are you optimistic about the convention?
Yes, I'm very optimistic about the convention.
We have 30 seconds.
Yes, I'm very optimistic about the convention. I think let us be patient. The convention committee is going to come up as soon as possible. And you see, in this jet age...
As soon as this week?
Yes, well, I'm not saying this week, but it could be any time from now. So with this,
you're not afraid that it's already getting too
with
late?
this era of technology,
I'm just asking.
we're not looking for town criers to come and start telling people the whole villages. You have television, you have radio, you have the papers. So therefore, what is there to announce? It doesn't take any time and to circulate everything in the whole world. So what is the problem in this globalization? When we have technology. So announcement is just nothing. By the time planning and everything will be set, and I can tell you that we are going to have a very perfect convention, God willing. Leaders of purpose, leaders of credibility, and leaders that will move this party forward under the chairmanship of Mai Malabuni, having set the convention committee. They'll be able to evolve leaders for us that will be able to move this party forward towards 2023.
It's a fine place to leave. We will have to leave now, gentlemen. I have to thank you both for coming on Sunrise Daily. Ibrahim Modibo, you already had one. Ibrahim Modibo is a former member of the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council, and Ali Audu is a stakeholder in the APC. Well, that's it for this segment. We have a few mails which we need to take. I don't know if you can still take them. Badi Emmanuel will see your mail. This one says, with a clear identification of APC's lack of capacity and sincerity in its party's leadership and governance, we're heading to the point where the country will experience a true democratic change that will bring forth a new Nigeria with hope for human capacity development and equality in terms of income and opportunities. May God bless Nigeria. I think there's also one from Dari Shorunke. I don't know, Ayo, do you have that?
Well, yes, Darius Shorunke here says we should stop hero worship of the Electoral Amendment Bill. The bill should scale up the qualifications of those contesting for electoral positions and experience in administration required for those in the executive. We should do well in recruiting competent CEOs and stop hero worshipping this bill. Well, that's his position. That's the much of Sunrise Daily we can take today. Have a wonderful rest of your day and stay with Channels TV. I'm Ayo Makinde.
And I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Have a good day.